Alright, welcome back everyone. I apologize for the lengthy amount of time since the last video, but we are going to be continuing our Planescape Torment playthrough. Let's see. What I want to do is... reload this one. The last save I did actually got totally goofed up, and game audio was not recording, so I was kind of left in this. I was left with a lot of work, and it didn't turn out the way I wanted, so we are just redoing this section. This video is going to be entirely in the Smoldering Corpse Bar, which has a ton of really awesome story content and some really awesome dialogue, so the entire video is going to be in here, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's get into it. Ignis, this crackling, billowing creature, twists slowly above an iron grill upon the floor of the bar. It may have once been human, but now its skin is charred beyond recognition. Streams of fire form a wreath around the creature's body, and the flames lick at the few remaining pockets of flesh, causing them to bubble and run like wax down the creature's skeletal frame. Greetings. The thing makes no response. It writhes slowly within the flames. It lives, but it does not seem aware of anything other than the fire that surrounds it. Its skin is aflame, its heart is flame, and you know, within some shadowed corner of your memory, that this thing is dangerous. Examine the creature. The heat surrounding this creature is incredible. To your surprise, the iron grill the creature floats above has sagged and bent from the heat. At first you thought the heat came from the grill, but now you realized it emanates from the creature. As you watch, flecks of ash drift from the writhing corpse and float slowly to the ceiling. Greetings. The thing makes no response. It writhes slowly within the flames. It lives, but it does not seem aware of anything other than the fire that surrounds it. Its skin is flame, its heart is flame, and you know within some shadowed corner of your memory, this thing is dangerous. We're going to leave it alone. Talk to Drusilla. This is a woman with fading bruises on her face and arms, and a look of despairing longing in her sunken eyes. She might have been pretty once, but those days are long ago. She turns slowly to face you. Life pours into her features, and the spark of sardonic light that dances in her eyes now makes you wonder if your eyes were deceiving you. Welcome to the Smoldering Corpse, scarred man. Who are you? I am Drusilla, and you must be clueless. Don't ask me how I know that, it just shines off you. Clueless? I think not. She smirks at you. Her bruises seem almost to fade. Whatever you say, dearie. Whatever, answer some questions for me. Aye, traveler, what is it you seek? Who is that burning by the entryway?
Updated my journal.
That despair you saw in her face before flits across it again like a black-winged shadow before she masters herself. That's Ignis, one of the greatest wizards ever to come out of this slummy excuse for a cesspool. They caught him, and they opened a channel to the plane of fire through him, and now he's just a doorway for it, keeping himself alive by sheer force of will alone. If someone could douse him for a few moments, it'd give him his life back again, but they don't make enough water for that. What's your connection to him? Her voice practically throbs with a deep, deep ache. I was Ignis' lover, and he my beloved. He loved the flame more than me. Now he has become the flame. And because I love him, I love the flame. But that's all done with now. Now I wait for him to douse himself. I sell what little I have just so I can be near him. I understand. Farewell. We're going to come back to her at some point later in the game. For the moment, that is all we can do. Guys, I'm going to pause the video and double check sound quality is good. Okay, we are back. I think everything is rolling right along. Let's talk with Kendrian. You see a soft-looking man with gentle, far-staring eyes. He dresses in supple leather clothing and carries various implements of use and destruction about his body, such as ropes, spikes, tinderboxes, empty vials of air. He looks half gone, literally. There's an insubstantiality to his existence, as if his essence had been partially leached away. He focuses those eyes on you, and suddenly you find them gripping and determined. Greetings to you, O Seeker. Greetings. Carefully sets down the mug he's holding, and gives you all his attention. I have seen the far reaches of the multiverse, and returned to tell the tale. I have walked upon the bodies of dead gods, spun moonbeams in the astral, ahead of 1,000 shrieking Githyanki nights. I have passed the edges of existence, and watched my essence shiver away before me. What is it I can do for you? I have some questions for you. Perhaps I have answers for you. Speak, and I shall tell you. I met a woman named Ingress with very bad teeth. She said she had come through a portal from some world that was opened by a tune hummed near 2 crossed trees. Can you get her home? He pauses briefly, thinking. I know the portal of which you speak, though I have not traveled it these 30 years gone. I will take her home, Seeker. Go tell her to await my arrival, then meet me back here, and I will tell you if I was successful or not. Thanks. I had some other questions.
Updated my journal.
Perhaps I have answers for you. Speak, and I shall tell you. Who are you? I am Kendrian Illborn, traveler, dreamer, tale spinner, and so forth. You are a traveler. Tell me of the plains. I am tired, Seeker. So tired. I am fresh back from negation. I will answer what I can for you, but I cannot promise that you will find satisfaction in the answers I give. What would you know? Would you hear of the outer planes, the prime material, or the inner planes? What's the difference? The difference is true essence, Seeker. The inner planes are matter, substance, true physicality. They are the building blocks of the multiverse, for it is from them that all belief in the elements springs. The inner planes filter through the ethereal plane, the plane of potential, some say, which forms the elements into the worlds of mortals. Once past the ethereal plane, one reaches the prime material, where exist all manner of mortals and monsters and myths and machines. It is there that belief is born. There that the spirits that create the outer planes are born. When mortals die, they pass through the astral plane, a no place that is thought and mental energy itself. It is in all things and in none. It is paradox, among other things, and it filters spirits into the great ring. Do you comprehend so far? Yes, go on. Now, the outer planes. Where should I start? Do you know of the cardinal rules of the planes, on which all others are based? Do you know about the composition of the outer planes? Do you know of the great ring and its divisions in our hearts? Do you know of the individual planes? Each of these leads to the next. So it is best to start from the beginning. Tell me of the composition of the planes. The outer planes are created of and by belief, in thought, in faith. They take their imagined form from the prime material plane, shaped into forms that stagger the imagination, built by the accumulation of belief. Belief creates the planes. Belief is power here. Change belief and you change the nature of reality. The creatures that are born here, the plane-born, like the fiends and celestials, are truly born of the thoughts and concepts of mortals. They each express some sort of ideal, and the more powerful the ideal, the more powerful the being. Thus, the being that symbolizes love is one of the strongest of all. Go on. That's why the powers, gods some call them, live out here. This is where all the faith in them comes. This is where they are at their most pure and most strong. Their realms are extensions of their very beings, manifestations of their godly essence. All of it informed by belief. So the composition of the planes is belief. Tell me of the Great Ring now. Among the loose unity of planewalkers, we conceive of the infinite outer planes as a ring surrounding the plane of ultimate neutrality, the Outlands. The spire upon which Sigil sits is in the center of the Outlands. The further one travels away from the spire, the less neutral the plane grows, until it spills into the neighboring planes. Each of these planes impinges on the Outlands, spinning themselves into law and chaos, good and evil. The Great Road marks the demarcation between the Outlands and the gate towns that spring up around the gates to those planes. Beyond the gate towns lie the hinterlands, uncharted territory that is lost to history, that loses thought. Danger lies in the hinterlands. Go on. The outer planes differ by morality, not substance. For you will divide the planes into three sets: the upper planes of good, the lower planes of evil, and the boundary planes of neutrality. These are then further divided by law and chaos, with the Outlands in the middle. Which of these interest you? The upper planes. Of the upper planes, there are neutral planes, the lawful planes, and the chaotic planes. What would you know? The neutral planes. The neutral upper planes contain the Beastlands, a place of neutrality and goodness with a slight tinge of chaos, where the animals rule in the eternal noon and night. They hold Bitopia, twin paradise of industry and labor, where all work toward the good of all. In Elysium, the sweetest plane of goodness and calm I have ever come across. Alas, right now I am not well enough to enjoy any of the restorative effects. What would you hear of now? Tell me the rest of the upper planes. The lawful planes. Kendrian gives a small shudder. I am not the best person to speak of the planes of law, he says, for the innate structure and ultimate patterns they impose frighten me. I steer clear of them because I value my individuality more than I value the knowledge they'll bring me. They include regimented Arcadia, nearest of the good planes to the unbending order of Mechanus, and Mount Celestia, home of the Archons, an island in the Silver Sea. Tell me the rest of the upper planes. The chaotic planes. These are where I feel most at home, though I steer clear of Ysgard for the most part. The endless battles and tests of metal among the floating earthbergs of the plain don't do much for my disposition. Arborea, though, he sighs. The mountains are taller, the air clearer, the rivers purer, and the game larger than anywhere else. It is a true paradise, a place where passions run high and the wine never ceases to flow. When I have recovered enough of my wits and myself, when we have done with the outer planes, you should ask me of the inner, and I will describe my journey to you. I will return to Arborea's bowers and glades and lose myself for a time. Tell me more of the planes of the Great Ring. The lower planes. Like the upper planes, the lower planes are divided into lawful, chaotic, and neutral. Each of them varies in terms of horrors and what those horrors do to a traveler's spirit. All of them are best avoided. Which of them would you like to hear of? The neutral planes. The neutral planes, eh? They're vile, barely understandable. They're more insidious on their own than you could ever imagine. Take Gehenna, for example. 4 volcanoes in stages of dormancy, floating in an infinite void, each of them somehow alive, each of them wanting your soul by whatever means they can get it. Populate it with Yugoloths, the worst of the fiends in my opinion, and you've got the place. The plane of ultimate evil, at least that's what they call it, is the Grey Waste, a no place that drains color from your body and spirit, stealing away even your apathy. And it's the site of the worst battlegrounds in the war down there. Don't get me started. Then you've got Carcery on the chaotic side. Tell me about the war. Aye, the Blood War. At the name, your blood feels as if it freezes in your veins. Ilborn doesn't seem to notice, wrapped up as he is in his memories. Two armies of fiends smashing each other pointlessly across the lower plains, slaughtering mindlessly in the name of law and chaos. They'll aggrandize it, of course, but in the end, it's about hate and stupid endeavor that aids none and harms far too many. Tell me about Carcery. Ah, Carcery and its poisonous jungles, acid swamps, destructive waters, strung like a string of rotten pearls nestled within each other. He pauses and looks at you carefully, again fixing you in place with his eyes. Remember this, Seeker. Carcery is a prison, home to the Garruleths, one of the most dangerous types of fiends there is. The strength of the prison is the strength of the captor, as strong as the prisoner lets it be. Destroy the prison keeper, and a body can escape the red prison. There is almost no other way out, not when the gates close themselves against you, and watch you spin off into the vast space surrounding the orbs. Be wary of Carcery, traveler, for its bonds can be greater than flesh. Tell me the rest of the lower planes.
My journal.
The lawful planes. As much as I detest the order of the lawful upper planes, at least they present a modicum of goodness. The lower planes' counterparts, though. Archeron's a place of ricocheting cubes that never see an end to battle, swarming with the souls of dead humanoids. Baator, he shivers involuntarily. Baator is a place best avoided. Those Batuzi, the fiends in the corner there, they are all but the merest expression of the deviant corruption embodied in that soulless machine of order. If you want more, talk to them, but remember, all that is bad about bureaucracy and order originates from Baator. It spreads like a stain across the hearts of mortals. Though there is some knowledge to be found there, it is rarely worth the spiritual rape that the plane inflicts. The chaotic planes. The Abyss isn't someplace you should consider going. Where Baator is all orderly, the Abyss is full of chaos and change. None of it's pleasant. When it becomes something that approximates normality, that's when you should be most wary of it. It's home to the Tanari, what most primes call demons, and they've got that name for a reason. They are unpredictable and murderous, and the few you can trust are few and far between. The few I have met who I'd trust, I still don't trust entirely. They are creatures of chaos and evil incarnate. If they're putting on a friendly face, who's to say it's not part of a larger agenda? Tell me more of the planes of the Great Ring. The boundary planes. There are two boundary planes in my mind, and they are diametrically opposed. One of them, Mechanus, is the very essence of law, a place where beliefs fit together, interlocking, turning, in a massive machine that is the entire plane. Some folks would have it that the gears of Mechanus are the engine that drives the planes. The other plane is Limbo, a swirling morass of chaos that follows no rules, none. And just when a body thinks he's classified its behavior, it goes and changes on him. Or it doesn't. You just can't tell. I was in Limbo not too long ago. Tell me of your journey. Closes his eyes, remembering. I had a Githzerai guide with me, an anarch who could shape the illogical matter of the plane into forms of his desire. We had fought off the harrying of the Slati, the chaos creatures who call that plane home. It seemed that there were more than usual, but then one can never tell what's usual in Limbo. But I digress. In the midst of all this chaos, we came across a series of huge metal interlocking cubes like some sort of puzzle box, It wasn't something we had shaped, consciously or not, and we couldn't find a way inside. It was like a bastion of order within the confines of disorder, a seed of law. That is the best I can explain it. Tell me more of the planes.
Updated my journal.
The Outlands. The Outlands are absolute neutrality. Probably the best place for a body to visit in the lower outer planes, outside of Sigil, if you don't want to have a plane's morality forced into your heart. Everything balances out in the Outlands, as it should be, for the plane that sits at the center of the outer planes. Power's realms are scattered about here. There are handfuls of gate towns that open into the rest of the outer planes. The gate towns usually mirror the philosophy of the plane their gates open onto. And if the balance of belief isn't kept in the town slips into the nearby plane. It's a bad situation for everyone because few of the folks in the towns really want that change. But enough of the Outlands. What more would you know? Let's go back a few steps to the overview. Tell me more of the planes in general. Tell me of the prime material. You want to know of the prime, visit it. The boundless worlds of that plane have an infinite variety, as do the planes. But I cannot encapsulate them as I have here. Suffice to say, they are the birth of the outer planes, the children of the inner, and they hold limitless potential within their boundaries. I had more questions. Fresh back from negation, what do you mean? His eyes cloud over. I went to the inner planes to discover my true essence. I made the mistake of visiting the negative material plane in order to understand my body's urge to decay and the cycle of death in life. I thought myself protected against the ill effects of the plane with my magic, but I was wrong. The blackness of infinite nothing pressed on my soul, and I was beset by shadows that sought to snuff out my very soul. I lost my way for a time, for an eternity, nearly lost my existence. I could feel my essence falling away from me, and even now am half gone. Never will I return. How did you survive?
Updated my journal.
How did I survive? His eyes smiles tightly. With a piece of nothing that held back the nothing. Nothing can stop nothing, you know, and so I carried nothing in my hand to protect me. Do you plan to journey to the ultimate negation yourself? You have the smell of desperation about you, so I make you this gift. Hold it in your hand when the shadows press in, and it should protect you and your friends somewhat, should they remain close to you. He passes you a small black token that looks as if it has no dimensionality to it at all. Thanks. Very well. Apologize for the length of that, but my rationality is I want to cover all the dialogue options I possibly can. If people find it boring, they can always skip the video, but I don't want to skip dialogue options and then have people not know what possibilities there are in the game. This negative token is something you will carry throughout the entire game, and we're going to use at the very end. And unless you go through the right dialogue options, you won't get it. It's part of what makes Planescape Torment interesting is that having to dig for every little option. Elias is kind of stupid. Mokai. You see someone dressed as a female dustman with a half-empty glass in her right hand. As you near her, she calls out to you. You, over here. You notice there's something wrong about her, and your exposure to the dustman leads you to believe she's just too lively to be a real member of the faction. Approach her. Hey, Cutter. Buy a lady a drink? Who are you? Me? I'm okay. I just like to drink here, and, She loses her train of thought momentarily. I'm just a person, you know. I see. Farewell then, Mokai. We need to talk to the bartender first. Do a small quest here. Barkus, you see a leather-tanned man with just a hint of ashen color to his face. His teeth seem sharper than normal, and his eyes are filled with the boredom that comes from having seen too much. His voice is nasal and clipped. You again, eh? What do you want this time? You again? What do you mean? Yeah, you again. You got a hearing problem or something now? You was in here about 15 years ago, got all bubbed up, smashed up the place, left a pile of coin that wasn't enough to pay for the damages, so you plucked out your own bleeding eyeball. Tells me you'll be back to reclaim it when you got 200 coins together. 15 years of interest, you got about 500 coins. You got the drink, pal. I got your eye. 500, that's ridiculous. He pauses for a moment, considering. That it is. Tell you what, give me 300, and the eye is yours. Forget it. Give me some answers to other questions instead. We don't have the money. Hurry up, will ya? I got paying customers. What can you tell me of the patrons here? I don't make it a point to interfere with the lives of the people who give me their hard-earned drink unless they ask me to. So, over there is Kendrian, Planewalker. He's a good one to talk to about any plane-walking questions you might have. He's been pretty much everywhere. Down there is old Ab Greek Knees, an old harmonium basher. Don't hold that against him. And a tout. He's got a good heart in him, and he knows sigil up and down. Them fiends over there are Agathrin and Tagarin. A word of advice, don't deal with them. They might be low rankers in the fiend hierarchy, but they're still fiends. Then you got Hellquicks over there, not trustworthy. And some mercy killers looking for some poor sod. Dakon the Gitzerai is a mystery to me. Don't know much about him. You don't talk much. Finally, you interested in earning some free bub? Yes. There's a bubber over there against the far wall, hanging out in the shadows, but trying to work up her courage to slip out without paying her tab. I want you to make sure she don't do that. You do it, you got free bub here for life. I'll do it. I'll let you know when I'm done. Now we can go chat with her. What do you want? Barkus says it's time for you to settle your tab. Pay up. She jumps a little. Her nervous tension becomes full-fledged anxiety. What are you going to do? Ask you to go pay up. Now. I can't afford it. Can you spot me just 10%? I'll give it to him and he knows I'll pay the rest. How much do you need? I need about 100 coins to get started on that debt. I'll lend you the money. Here, take it and pay up. Now. She pockets your jink. Glances briefly towards the door, almost as if she's weighing her chances of dashing out. Sighs heavily as she realizes there's no chance, and begins to walk glumly towards the bar. My thanks, I suppose. Don't mention it. Don't even think about heading for the door until you've paid up. So, we might get some good points for that. Try to get my character's alignment to be lawful neutral, so we can use, or lawful good, so we can use a particular item in the game. We'll see if that's possible or not. It's kind of hard. You won't be having any trouble with Mokai again. 1,000 experience is what we really wanted. Then, friend, you have full bar privileges for free. Anything you want, anytime. That must have been a pretty big tab she ran up. You don't know the half of it. You want a drink now? Set me up. You want a drink? You got a drink. This is what we got for you. Beer, bitters, mead, elemental water, Arborian firewine, fire seeds, cursed heart wine, Batoran whiskey. What'll it be? Let's try the heart wine. He passes you a glass of cursed, famous heart wine. The bouquet is breathtaking. The wine itself full-bodied and fruity. The aftertaste leaves nothing to be desired. Made from real razor wine, that is. I wish I knew the secret. The barkeep nods at the empty glass. You want another? No, thank you. I don't think there's anything we gain by getting drunk. Anyway. It's kind of fun to talk with the... we'll talk with the fiends, just for the kicks. You see a scaled fiend who looks very similar to the one standing next to him. In addition to the pierced left ears, both are black-hued and reptilian, with bat wings tucked against themselves. This one is missing a tooth on its right side. Ah, Tagarin, it says. Our old friend has returned to pay us a visit. And so he has, Athelgren, so he has. Yet his eyes do not gleam as once they did. What do you suppose brings him back to us? What does bring you back to us, friend? Who are you? Ah, Athelgren, time has robbed our companion's memory. You honestly do not recall us, do you? Truly, I am aggrieved. But, as am I, Tagarin, truly aggrieved. Yet I rest easy. It has, after all, been many hundreds of years. We know how the minds of mortals tend to dissipate with age. Ah, well spoken, old friend. We are a pair of Abishai, on leave from our current assignments in Baator. I am Tagarin of the Thrice Damned, so named from my ability to find the best in every situation. This is Athelgren, who has earned himself no special name, though not for lack of trying. Lack of trying? What do you mean? Athelgren ignores you as it responds to its companion. And once again, Tagarin, you have cut straight to the truth of the matter. Though perhaps it is best not to have earned the sort of notice one bearing the name Thrice Damned must surely have incurred. I had some other questions. Mort whispers to you. Boss, I don't like this. They're not supposed to be here. The Blood War hasn't kicked the Celestials' asses bad enough that any fiend can go on furlough. They want something. Tread carefully. In the meantime, Tagarin continues to respond to its companion. In its turn, Tagarin ignores you as it replies to its comrade. Once again, I maintain that any notice is better than no notice at all. The Abishai turns back to you. Old friend, does this answer your question as to our identities? I suppose it will have to. I had some other questions. Some questions, perhaps we have answers. We are certainly eager to aid you, old friend. Tell me about fiends. I'm going to try and do a fiend voice just for the kicks here.
As we see it, there are two kinds of fiends. Those who are correct, and those who are not. Our side, that of the Batusi, is correct. The other side, that of the cursed, hated, chaotic Tanari, is incorrect and must be exterminated. We hold the Tanari directly responsible for the Blood War. Were it not for them, we could have settled the lower planes in peace, and would have had all the bother of fighting this wretched war, nor would the unfortunate spillovers into other planes be such a curse for and concern. Among the namby-pambling do-gooders, the Tanari are directly to blame for the multiverse's sad state of affairs.
That's not really what I was asking. I wanted to know what differentiates you from them. The fiend pauses for a moment, then brightens.
Yes. You see, we represent law and order. Those who break the law must be punished. If we have no law, we have only anarchy. Surely you see what anarchy has done for the Abyss. It has spawned horrors beyond imagining. Any excesses the Batusi state may have indulged in are simply to counter the rising tide of chaos represented by the Tanari. We mean no harm to anyone. We just prefer to understand where the boundaries are.
I see. Farewell. Yeah, I don't think my voice is up to that. But hey, you get the idea. We will encounter the Tanari, their counterparts, later in the game. We have 3 major characters that we have left to talk to. I think what we want to do is talk to O. We get a stat bonus for talking to him. We'll chat briefly with Ebb just to get his background. And then we get a new party member talking to Dakan. And that will be it for this video. I think we're going to try and wrap it up here. I'm going to take a quick drink. You see a man standing stock still. He isn't moving a muscle. On closer examination, it appears he isn't even breathing, just standing. His eye sockets are empty holes in his face. Contained within their bounds is a flat gray light that seems to dance with possibility. Looking into the sockets, the eerie, empty feeling of a limitless void shivers through you. as if you had gazed into a sliver of eternity. The head slowly swivels towards you. You notice that no muscles appear to move under his skin as he turns, and he speaks in a pure, bell-like tone. "Well met, traveler. Wanderer, you have forgotten again, haven't you?" "Do you know me, stranger?" As he opens his mouth, you get that feeling of eternity again. Inside his mouth, you see no tongue, no teeth. It's almost as if this man were a shell surrounding an illimitable expanse. "I have spoken with you before, and always you forget. Your endless quest to discover yourself ends always in your amnesia. You draw close to the truth and recoil. Let us hope that you have the strength to endure your existence." "What do you know of me? How do you know this?" "I know that you, like a fly, rise up from the wreckage of your old shell, buzz about for a time, and curl up and die at the window of truth. You bumble about the pain, seeking the light without any plan to your actions, and fall exhausted when you fail. You alight on others to feed from them for a time, and move on with no regard to them. I have watched you come here and listen to your words, and watched you move away no wiser. Will you learn from your mistakes, seeker?" "Who are you?" "I am O." For some reason, when he speaks his name, it sounds like he's speaking of much more than a single letter, as if speaking of his name contained untold possibilities and nuances. No human tongue could ever create such a sound. What sort of a name is that? "It is my name. It is the name of a portion of eternity. I am a letter in the divine alphabet. Understanding me leads to understanding existence. I am writ in the true names of half of everything. My being encompasses truth. I am mathematic, organic, metaphysic." So, what does that mean? "The divine alphabet is writ in the name of everything that exists, from the seed at the hearts of the elemental planes to the core of the great beyond. My brothers, sisters," a single word translates into the two in your mind, "and I reach across all that is, was, or ever shall be. We are thought and reality and concept and the unimaginable." Then that means you know all the secrets of existence, doesn't it? "I know parts of many of them. Without a connection of my brothers, sisters, I am but a letter. Alone I am a symbol. Combined we are language and power." So you don't know the secrets of existence. "I did not say that. A letter is still a powerful force, even on its own. Allow me to show you." He opens his mouth wider and wider still. The mask of his face tears around his eyes, mouth, and nose, revealing what hint of eternity you glimpsed earlier. You are lost in it, adrift in it, a part of it. You return to your mundane senses and realize that O has vanished. Yet somehow, your horizons have expanded. Enlightenment has brushed you, however briefly, across the brow. That was indescribable. Okay, we get +1 to wisdom. And let's chat with Eb really quick. You see a slightly stooped man with a full gray beard and a lion's mane of gray hair. He wears a couple of shoulder guards as armor, and he keeps a helmet nearby. He smokes a pipe and carries a pouch of tobacco around his waist. He looks pretty strong, but he's a little plump and also appears to have some sort of breathing trouble.
"Well now, aren't you a sight, lad? Never have I seen so many scars blanketing a fellow, like a scar cloak you're wearing. Where you been? Hanging out in a grain thresher?" He laughs. "Oh, I'm just jesting with you, lad. No offense meant, and I hope no offense taken. I'm Eb." He extends his hand. "Greetings, Eb." His handshake is firm. "Now, I hereby tender my apologies for the unfair jesting, lad. Hope no hard feelings.
Can I buy you a tankard or two of something to smooth any ruffled feathers? Well, why not? That's the spirit, lad. Bide a moment. He rises to his feet and heads to the bar. After a moment, he returns to his seat with a pair of tankards. Here you go, lad. Drink up. He takes a massive swallow from his own tankard, puffs on his pipe, and says, "What can old Ebb do for you on this fine sigil day?" I had some questions about this place. Oh, well, I gathered that just to look at you. I mean, you don't look like you're from around these parts, lad. You just look a little too out of sorts to be a seasoned native. Ebb chuckles and takes another drink. So what can I help you with, lad? You need to know the lay of the land. Ebb winks. Who are you? Ebb Creek Knees, third measure of the harmonium, now retired and being a tout for one's voice, since I don't step as lightly as I might have these past 2 or 3 decades. He chuckles. Now, lad, who you be, and what trouble might you be in? What makes you think I'm in trouble? Lad, no one has as many scars as you have, and isn't in some sort of trouble, either from himself or from others. Ebb looks at you in mock reproach. What do you take old Ebb for? Blind? Ha! Look, I'm a little weathered around the edges, but I've still got some sight and sense. Now, what's dogging your heels to be causing such trouble? Mayhap I can help you, eh? A few troubles. I woke up in the mortuary and seem to have forgotten who I am. Eh? Ebb blinks, then frowns. What was that you said, lad? That you woke up in the mortuary? Ebb studies you closely. Oh, now, did they mistake you for dead under all them scars, mayhap? Ebb chuckles. Can't say that I would have been any smarter. Puffs his pipe. Them dusties. He catches himself. I mean, them dust men. Dusties being a rude term to refer to them pale-faced fellows, and I don't mean them too much disrespect. They have all the perceptions and friendliness of a gravestone sometimes, eh? Can't say I see them screwing that up. No, lad. And that's what I've heard, and I've had some other questions. Alright, lad, what do you want to know? Do you know someone named Farad? Farad? Ebb frowns, taking the pipe from his mouth. Now, lad, what you be wanting with a Burke like Farad? I think he stole some of my belongings. Oh, no doubt, lad, no doubt. Ebb grumbles, chewing on his pipe. You have to chain up everything around that grasping little spider. He should have been one of the fated, the way anything not chained down slips into his parlor. Don't give him a yard or he'll take a league, eh? What do you know about him? Well, now, I don't know everything there is to know about old Farad, but I know some of the dark surrounding him. If you're determined to track down that spider and nail him to a wall, then I suppose I could spill some of the chant so you know what you're tangling with. He pauses to tamp his pipe. Farad dug his nest deep into Ragpicker Square not too long ago. Got a bunch of collectors and gangs together and started what one could almost consider a collecting faction, be that as it may be. Where can I find him? Well, lad, if you're looking for Farad, which I would say is pretty barmy of you, you're a little off the beaten path. You want to be finding Ragpicker Square. Chant is that Farad set up his kip somewhere in the square. Even an old fellow like me who's been around the ring a few times don't know exactly where. I figure that Farad wants to keep the dark in his location dark. If you're all bound and determined to find Farad, go to Ragpicker Square, try to dig up Farad's location from some of the locals. Try to be careful about it, since there's plenty in the square that would make a gut harp out of you as soon as look at you. I see. Farewell. Alright, we find Farad in Ragpicker Square. If you've remembered previous videos, you know who that is that we're referring to. And here is Dakan, the star of the show. The man before you is old. His dry yellow skin has the scars of one who has traveled everywhere and never rested long in any one place. His pinched face is inhumanly angular, and his ears sweep back out from his skull, tapering to points. He wears a loose-fitting orange tunic, and a strange shimmering blade is strapped across his back. The blade looks to be a two-pronged glaive, made of some metal whose surface swirls like the film of oil on a pond. Greetings. The man turns to you, his eyes like polished coal. He stares through you, and for a moment you wonder if he might be blind. The weapon suddenly turns a dead, flat black, mirroring the man's eyes. Are you all right?
Hail, traveler.
His voice is quiet and somber, like a wind whispering through the branches of a great tree. Hail.
Your eyes have the weight of one who has traveled far to be in this place.
The man meets your gaze, his eyes burrowing into yours. His weapon drains of its black color, resuming its shimmering you noticed before you spoke to him. You could say that. The man's gaze does not waver from yours. I am known as Dakan. The emphasis he places on the word known strikes you as odd, yet familiar at the same time. You are not known to me. I do not know myself. That is for the best. In knowing yourself, there would be little in the plains left worth knowing. He falls silent for a moment, still studying you with his cold black eyes. I would know why you have come to this city. I'm looking for answers. I have many questions. Speak your questions. I will hear you. Your features are unfamiliar to me. What are you? A Githzerai. A Githzerai? A Githzerai is one of the people. One of the people. A Githzerai. Yes, but what are the Githzerai exactly? Dakan is silent for a moment, then speaks. Our history does not need to be made known to you. We would bleed to death on time's blade before I recited a fraction of the histories of our people. I don't need to know your histories, but I would know of your people as they are now. Dakan is silent for a moment. Know this and accept it as an answer. We are the people who make our home upon the shifting plane of limbo. With a deft motion, Dakan slips the blade from his back and holds it before him. Wait, see what happens. There we mold the matter of limbo with our minds. We forge cities with our thoughts. As you watch, a series of rippling waves of metal begin to roll forth from the center of the blade. The pitch and crest of the waves match the inflections in Dakan's voice. In its chaos we dwell, and with only our knowing to preserve us, we are the Githzerai. What is that blade you have? It moved, shifted in response to your voice. It is a Karak blade. It is an object that lets others know the rank of the wielder. What rank does it signify? The blade is a symbol carried by the Zerth. A Zerth is one who knows the words of Zerthamon. In knowing the words of Zerthamon, they know themselves. Zerthamon? Zerthamon founded our race. He knew the Githzerai before they knew themselves. He defined the people. He gave them one mind. I had some other questions. Speak your questions. I will hear you. You seem to place a special emphasis on knowing. What do you mean? All things, whether structure or flesh, their existence is defined by their knowing of themselves. And if a man does not know himself? When a mind does not know itself, it is flawed. When a mind is flawed, the man is flawed. When a man is flawed, that which he touches is flawed. Dakan pauses. It is said that what a flawed man sees, his hands make broken. Do you know yourself? Dakan falls silent. His cold black eyes take on the same distance that you noticed when you first spoke. I ask again, do you know yourself? When Dakan speaks again, his voice is changed. His words echo like a great stone dropped into a chasm. It looks as if he is forcing the words from his chest. It is not my will that you know this. Perhaps I was being too kind, phrasing it as a question. Tell me. The words come out of Dakan slowly, as if they are being carried one by one. It has come to pass that I do not know myself. Why? Dakon's voice drops to a whisper like sand. I do not know why. I know that it has happened, but I know not the how, nor the when, nor how to know myself once more. Never mind, I had some other questions. There is nothing more to be said. Farewell. As you turn to leave, the man speaks sharply, the first time you have heard his tone change since the conversation began. Hold. The man's voice levels out. The city is not known to you. I would travel your path with you. I accept. An extra blade would be welcome.
Your path is mine.
Strangely enough, his voice seems distant, and it echoes as if he was speaking from across a great distance. Very well. Let's go.
All right.
Dakon
Endure.
is...
In enduring, grow strong.
Dakon is a fighter mage, and he has really good strength, dexterity, constitution. He also has some mage spells. He can improve the armor class and saving throws. It's kind of a magic missile spell, and eventually he'll pick up some other stuff. But what's most crucial about Dakon is the Unbroken Circle of Zerthamon. This was there's some really amazing conversation options that come out of this, and once we get a high enough wisdom, we'll be able to initiate that conversation. And I think once we hit intelligence and wisdom 20, we'll unlock that option. But I think that is the majority of what we wanted to cover here. As you can see, talking with Kendrian and learning about the planes, and then talking with Dakon, learning where he was from, a lot of different parts of this game are linked together, and it's really quite excellent. So that is it for this video. We will carry on Sigil, doing some quests in the next video, and we will hopefully you enjoyed that. Have a good one, guys. Thanks.